Okay, so let's move on then. All right, then for second subsections, okay, earlier we talked about all these factors to influence the pay rate. Then now, okay, we like to address for how to set up the pay rate for an organization, right? There are two fundamental approach. What are they? The first one is, yeah, Anderson? Job evaluation, and the other one? Yeah?
Market-based.
Yeah, market-based. Okay, job evaluation approach as well as market-based. Okay, the first one is more internally. Okay, internal of your organization. The other one is related to you check from the market-based, right? To set your pay rates. Right? So then if you're a company, you're an organization, okay, by using these two approach, then it can bring a more towards to market competitive pay plan. Alright, so then of course it brings better internal as well as external equity. Okay, so now you understand about it. Yeah. So we will talk for more detail for the first one, okay, job evaluation approach. Okay, what is the basic principle for the job evaluation, right? It indicates that, for example, the job require greater what? Yep. Yep. Yep.
More qualification.
Qualification. Qualification. Yeah. Okay. And more responsibility and more complex. Yep.
Complex duty.
The duties. Okay, the job duties. So for these three are kind of the principle for the job evaluation. Greater, if the job itself has greater, it requests greater qualification. Okay, for example, you need to have this skill and that skill, you need more qualification. Okay, more responsibilities as well as more complex job duties. Okay, so then, well, of course, the pay rate will be also higher. Okay, receive more pay, then the job will have less of these requirements. Right, and another issue, sometimes it's also a little bit hard, okay, for the, for most of the company to define, what does it mean by the, responsibility or, their duties, either they are conflict or not. Here, it's a tool for you to use. It's compensable factors. Okay, so then by using this, of course, then you can differentiate by different job positions, their duties or their responsibility, okay, or the complexities of the job itself. Okay, what does it mean by the compensable factors? Okay, it indicates there are some factors establish how the job compared to one another that determine the pay for each job. That indicates that for some factors, for each company, or they can also use, some factors for some particular departments. Okay, so then by using these factors, they define the weight for each job positions. Okay, so then, later it can come up with the pay rate. For example, here, from the Equal Pay Act, they use 4 fundamental compensable factors, which include such as skill. Okay, what skill does this job position do you have? The efforts, responsibility, as well as the working conditions. But this is just from this Equal Pay Act. They provide this for the company's reference. For each company, you can adjust it for your need. For example, there are some other companies that develop their own compensable factors. For example, such as retailing industry, Walmart. They use this these 3 as their compensable factor, such as knowledge, problem-solving skill, as well as accountability. Right? So then, for the Walmart, they use these 3 compensable factors. as well, as their pay rate defined for each different job positions, or, they can categorize them. Okay, for example, for some staff level in more toward to administrative departments, okay, as well as for some, like staff level for like kind of more revenue generating department, R&D department, for example, or sales department. Yeah, then, well, they can use different weights, for these compensable factors. Okay, knowledge, problem-solving skill, and accountability. Yeah, because for example, for you to measure for like cashier, as well as like, for example, some marketing specialists. Okay, they are all in the staff level. But then, for their knowledge that they need, or the problem-solving skill and the accountability, the weight would be the same? No, right? It will be different then for the cashier compared to like the staff from marketing department. This we call it compensable factors for these two different job positions. It should be different then, right? So this is a compensable factor. And for example, for the consulting company, yeah, they use this like know-how, problem-solving skill, as well as accountability, right? So these are kind of for the the consulting firm. Okay, they use different compensable factors. Not just this, yeah, maybe for some company they use more compensable factors, right? So this is kind of one of the kind of the important factor help a company to define, each different job positions, pay rates, right? So for the job evaluation method, the very first one, you can also use like the ranking, okay? Rank for each different job position. Rank each job related to other jobs. Based on what? Yeah?
Job difficulty.
Job difficulties. Very good. Okay, based on their job difficulties. Right? So then the step in the job ranking method, okay, the first one, to obtain the job information by doing what would be a good step?
Job analysis.
Job analysis, right? If you want to understand about the job difficulties, then you can conduct the job analysis, right? So that will be the first step. Select a group of jobs, okay? As we mentioned earlier, rank the jobs by different departments, because for those positions, yeah, if they belong to the same department, I think their kind of the duties, okay, will be similar, right? Ranked by different departments, and select the compensable factors, right? Rank the jobs, etc. Okay, and then the second one, rank first, and then second one we categorize them. Okay, as I mentioned, we can categorize them by, okay, for example, different departments. Okay, categorize job into different groups. Right, so then, of course, it will be easier for you to decide it like by using some particular compensable factors, and then put the weights, okay, on it. Okay, write a class of grade description, okay, write a set of compensable factors, and then choose some appropriate compensable factor for each class, each group, right? Okay. So then, the third one, the point method, okay, is by assign. This is the most popular one, okay, in the job evaluation method. Okay, so then it indicates you assign different points. Okay, as I mentioned, like for different departments, the compensable factors, maybe for the department A, okay, department A and department B, yeah. This compensable factor 1, 2, and 3, okay? Okay, maybe the first one, the weight, this compensable factor is a bit more important, okay? Problem solving skill, for example, this one will belong to Let's say like call center, all right? For the staff in the call center, and this one belongs to the marketing department or sales department. Marketing. Okay. For example, the first one is related to problem solving. Okay, if the weight is from 1 to 5, okay, weight is from 1 to 5, 5 indicates that it's more important, right? So then the first one, the first compensable factors, as we mentioned, problem solving. Does this problem solving skill is important for the staff in call center? Yes or no? Yes. So then, well, we might rank it as 5, right? How about to the marketing department? Yeah, kind of not that. Of course, it's also important, but not as important as the call center. So we might weight it as well, probably 4 or 3. All right. So then, yeah, the others, knowledge, okay. For example, the second compensable factor will be the knowledge, right? Call center. Maybe in middle, all right? Not really extreme, yeah, but then also need some knowledge. So for example, maybe 3. But how about for the people, the staff in marketing department? It's very important, right? So it could be more, right? Etc. That is the concept. All right. So then, if you have this different compensable factors, but then for different the staff from different departments, so then it will be easily, yeah, to identify, yeah, by using this point method, yeah. So then, it's a little bit similar to last week. We had this case presentation. Okay, remember? Yeah, they also have this kind of a little bit like job evaluation, method. Yeah, then they get this point, and then times by some basic, the number, then you come up with the employee salary, right? So this is the point method. Yeah, so then this package point plan. It indicates that, yeah, for the company, they might gonna have this human resources information system. Yeah, so then for each different job positions, they already have this, the package of the software in there. Yeah, so it'll be easy. Quite easy to identify for that, right? So that is a job evaluation approach, right? And then for this external one, the market-based approach, okay, how does the company establish a market competitive pay plan? Okay. Yep, the first one, of course, it's a very important issue. Yeah, you find a benchmark companies, choose the benchmark jobs. Okay, then you try to find out, like in the industry, okay, which company will be the benchmark company. So then you check for the, the pay rate provided from that benchmark company, right? So then, of course, then you have, a little bit idea about it. If the pay rate that you provide is a lot lower compared to this, benchmark company, then I'm sure the talented people will come. They are less likely, yeah, to come to work for you then, right? And also need to select some appropriate compensable factors. Okay, so yeah, the compensable factors, of course, also depends on like in which part, for example, skill or knowledge or the problem-solving skill. You put more focus on it. So then you can select a little bit then. Okay. And assign the weights, as we mentioned earlier over here, okay, for all these different compensable factors. And one of the most important issue, for you to provide, a market competitive pay plan, then you can conduct the survey, okay, salary survey. Yeah, this is also the issue we mentioned about it at the beginning of the class then. Right, so then by doing all this, you can create more market competitive pay plan then, right? So then you can, earlier we conduct this job evaluation approach, and then plus this one, okay, by, conducting the market survey, yeah, then you can provide some more market competitive pay plan then. All right, so here, one quick question. Why does a company they need to use a job evaluation approach to set up the company's pay rates? Instead of they just, well, why don't they just use the market-based approach? Why? Think about it. Yeah. Because to check for this pay rate from the market, well, it seems not that hard. Why don't just use the market-based approach? Why they need to use this job evaluation approach? Yeah. Any idea? Can someone? Is there anyone who would like to share your idea? Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is right or not, but in my opinion, that the company with job evaluation approach is important because they can know the exact value or the exact worth of the job itself. Because with this job evaluation, they can know how the complexity of the duties of the job more than when they only see from the market-based approach. So the company can know more about the how to say, like the exact value or exact worth of the job itself.
Mm-hmm. The value from
Value of the job.
the job position inside the company. Yeah. Okay. Good. Others? Yeah. Is that difficult? Who hasn't speak for a little bit more? Yeah. Sid? Yeah.
I agree with Cynthia, and job evaluation would give you a more spotlighted sight into your own company rather than the market. Because market-based approach would be more standardized.
Mm-hmm.
Your company is an individual equity, so you have to evaluate your own employees on their skills and knowledge and every other aspects that you have mentioned. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, it's quite close then. Yeah. Let me ask you, for example, for you in the future, okay, you want to look for the job position, okay, what's your, after you graduate, what kind of job position you want to, you are more interested?
I want to become a lecturer.
Lecturer? Okay, lecturer, all right, yeah, it's a little bit hard to make example, yeah, and you?
Logistic area.
Huh?
Logistic.
Logistic, okay, for example, the logistic specialist, okay, for example. Yeah, so then when you see this job posting from the company A, yeah, they have this job position, logistic, specialist. And then later you see this another job position is in company B. Okay, it's the same job position. But then for the job duties itself, for company A and company B, are they gonna be exactly the same?
No.
Of course not, right? That is the reason. Okay. For different companies, even though they have the same job positions, their duties will be different. The duties or the requirement or the responsibility, for this job position will be different. So of course you cannot really just get this standardized, this number, okay, from the market, then use that into your company. You cannot do that, right? Because each company, You will have your, your own characteristic. All right? Understand it? That is the reason. Okay. You always have to conduct both sides. One is internally, another one is externally. Okay? Yeah. So that is the issue. Then earlier, the issue that we mentioned about would be more related to staff level. Now we'd like to talk a little bit about the managerial level. Managerial and professional level, how we set up their pay rate then, right? Of course, for those executive managerial level, they will compensate by, the way they will be compensated will be different from those staff level. For example, they will have the base pay, but then for those executive level, the most important issue will they might gonna have some short-term incentive, long-term incentive, or some executive benefits and perks. Okay, it depends on their what about this all this incentive, short-term, long-term, depends on their what. Of course, their performance, all right? If they don't help the company to make profits, do you think they're gonna stay in that position long? Of course not. They might be fired, all right? At the board of director, yeah, as a CEO, actually under a lot of stress. They have to try to make some profit for the company, all right? So even though they have all this, kind of compensation, seems good compensation plan, but then for them, so they're also under a lot of stress. Okay, what determines the executive pay? More traditionally, okay, depends on the company's size and their performance. Okay, of course, the company is not that big, and then the kind of the compensation to provide for this executive level. Okay, of course, it won't be as attractive as those big companies then, right? So then, well, it depends on the job complexity, okay, employer's ability to pay, and then the executive human capital then. Yeah. So then for those professional employee, the compensable factors will be more focused on what? For example, problem-solving skill. All right? Actually, for the problem-solving skill, nowadays, it's not just only for the managerial level, it's a very important skill for everyone. Okay, do you have the good problem-solving skill? You can ask yourself. All right? Creativity, just go. Technical knowledge, as well as your expertise, of course. So this is a very fundamental one, right? So, yeah, if you want to, go to a, kind of higher position, okay, in the future, yeah, so then there's some important skill that you have to cultivate for yourself then. Right? Okay. And then for the managerial level, is that especially for the executive level, the CEO level, they also in one of their compensation plan, it also has one is we call it golden parachute. P-A-R-A. I'm not that sure how to pronounce it.
CHUT.
CHU some E. Golden parachute. What does it mean by that?
When the managers quit their job or they are released or fired, the company pays them a huge amount of money, not only,
The company, they got fired from the company?
or they decide to quit. I'm not sure, but it has to do with them not working for the company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the company pays a huge amount of money.
A
to
big
them.
money.
But only to the managers, high-level managers.
Yeah, but it's not under the condition they are fired, or yeah, it should be under the condition. Yeah, the concept is quite toward to the correct one. It's under the condition of the company.
Or they have to leave because there is
Yeah.
no space
Yeah.
for them anymore.
Yeah, it's like, for example, the company has been merged. Yeah, so then if the company has been merged, they no longer need the CEO. They might gonna have some other company, they take over your company. Yeah, so then, yeah, you will lose your job. So under this kind of situation, yeah, then they make it's like kind of before you take this job position, yeah, so you make a deal with the company, yeah, under this kind of situation, your company was merged, yeah. So, well, do you think it's easy for a CEO to find another job to be a CEO? It's really difficult, yeah. So then, well, they will get a big money, yeah, from this, under this kind of situation then, yeah. Okay, that is a golden parachute. Yep. So then, if you in the future, yeah, if you can have this opportunity to talk about this compensation package, yeah, then as a managerial top and managerial level, take that into consideration. All right. Otherwise, if your company got merged, yeah, then you lose your job. Then, yeah, of course, it will be a little bit difficult for you to find another position as a CEO, right? Okay, yeah, I think that's about it. Here is a short video I would like to show you. Then we finish the lecture part. Okay, employee performance and compensation management.
Why do industry leaders use executive for employee performance management and compensation management? To make sure that each employee has objectives supporting personal development.
Wait a second. Let me use different browser because this does not show the script.
Why do industry leaders use executive for employee performance management and compensation management? To make sure that each employee has objectives supporting personal development while staying aligned with team and company direction. To ensure that employees constantly have a clear understanding of these objectives and how they are doing against them so they can adjust immediately if necessary. To define the most effective compensation plan to best support these objectives given budgetary and local job market or legal constraints. And so that employees have total visibility into these compensation plans, thus maximizing motivation and retention. Thanks to Exentive, industry leaders have managed to link these four aspects together to have compensation plans that are aligned and effective. So what is it that Exentive provides for industry leaders? First, pre-built mechanisms to easily leverage data from HR and other systems, including external benchmarks, and to collect and approve qualitative information so they always have fresh, high-quality, controlled data. Automation of their business rules for calculation and real-time simulation of salary, bonus, commission, and stock options so they always have the most effective total compensation in place for each employee. Clear communication of objectives, results, and all aspects of compensation in one global view so that employees understand their objectives, results, and compensation. A process flow to ensure performance and compensation management is in the hands of local managers under the control of human resources so that these processes are executed much faster while empowering local managers. Whether they use Exentive for managing employee performance, compensation, or both, they benefit from a more efficient process that delivers higher employee motivation and retention. Working with Exentive, industry leaders are staying ahead of their competitors.
Okay. All right. So then that will be it for this topic. Okay, related to how to set up a strategic pay plan. Right. Got it? Yeah. There's some key concepts in this topic. Earlier we mentioned about like compensable factors. Yeah. And you have to understand about it. It's not that complicated issue. Yeah. So then we take a 10 minutes break, then we come back for our reading for presentation then. Right? Okay.